Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making this leopard print hollow waterfall striped tumbler. Let's go. I'm using a 20-ounce skinny straight from Craft Haven. Using a straight cup with no taper is going to make this vinyl wrapping section so much easier. I got this black and white striped pattern vinyl from Expressions Vinyl, and I'm using about half the sheet. I'm going to cut off that white little border, and then I'm going to wrap it around my cup to decide how high I want the stripes to go on my cup. I really want them to just cover the bottom quarter just about. So I cut it pretty high, but I'm gonna cover most of that with glitter. Just wanted to cover all my bases. I'm using my scissors to cut a little notch to mark where I want to cut my vinyl, and then I'll use my paper cutter to actually cut it basically in half. Now that I've got my little strip of vinyl, I'm going to place my cup down flat on my table and make sure that I can get this perfectly lined up straight. Since this is a striped pattern, I want the stripes to meet up perfectly so it looks like there's no seam. I'm gonna cut the backing off of a little sliver of the vinyl and then place that down to anchor our vinyl down to the cup, and then use my scraper, the felt side of my scraper, to adhere the rest of the vinyl. Really take your time with this step and make sure that your vinyl stays straight on your cup. Even though you've got an anchor placed down, it could still get a little bit wonky and not line up perfectly, so really go slow and make sure that your vinyl stays straight. Next, I'm gonna spray paint this silver with silver metallic spray paint. I know that using silver paint is kind of weird when we have a silver cup, but I wanted to paint over those vinyl stripes to create the template for our waterfall glitter. I'm gonna apply the glitter using the epoxy method, so I'm taking literally just a little finger dip into my epoxy and spreading it all over the cup. I went all the way to the bottom, and then I'm gonna use Paris from Peachy Olive Glitters. It's this beautiful chunky silver holographic, and I'm gonna start just going really light and then going super heavy. And I'm holding my cup at a pretty steep angle because I want the glitter to migrate just a teensy bit down to the very bottom of the cup. I don't want heavy coverage at the very bottom because we have that striped vinyl down there, so we don't want it to be totally covered up with glitter, but I do want a few flecks to end up at the bottom to make this whole thing really seamless. Once we've got the chunky holographic down, I'm gonna go all over the entire cup with Super NES from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is a really fine holographic silver, so we're just gonna fill in any bald spots and make this all flow together even better. So this is what we've got. I'm gonna let this cure for 4 hours, and then I'm gonna coat it with my first coat of epoxy. Now, I probably should not have done this coat of epoxy because I'm gonna hand paint my leopard spots on, and I think this coat of epoxy messed me up a little bit, so you could just go straight into your leopard spots once that first glitter coat cures. Anyway, I've got my first coat of epoxy on this cup, and I'm gonna paint my leopard spots now. So I'm gonna do pink glitter centers, and then I'm gonna do black glitter outer spots. So I'm taking these super cheap paint brushes, and I just snipped them to make them angle brushes because I think using an angle brush is easier for this. So I'm taking a little bit of pink Arteza acrylic paint and some Mod Podge and mixing them together. So the way to paint your leopard spots is really just random. You want them to be totally random. There's no pattern, there's no symmetry in leopard print. So for these centers, I'm really just doing little blobs of color, and then when we go back in and paint our actual spots, we'll kind of formulate and shape them around. But these pink parts are just little blobbies. Depending how quickly your Mod Podge dries, you want to do this in sections. I did 2 different sections, so I painted my little spots and then glittered, and then I went in and did the rest of the cup, painted and then glittered. And once the whole thing is glittered, I'm gonna take a chip brush, this is just one from the Dollar Tree, and brush off any stray glitter from in between those little blobbies. This is where the epoxy problem was, because I think my epoxy didn't 100% cure properly, so it was really hard for me to clean up in between those spots. I ended up doing it, but it was a big headache, so try to avoid that if you can. I let my pink spots dry about an hour, and then I went in and mixed my Mod Podge and black acrylic paint from Arteza to create our actual leopard spots. I mixed a lot. You definitely don't have to mix as much as me because you really don't use a ton of it. So I'm gonna just take a little bit on my brush and start to paint my spots. It is super helpful if you use a photo of leopard print or you reference a pattern as you're painting these so you can get an idea of how they're shaped, how they're distributed, and really just make it look as realistic as possible. So I'm just painting these little shapes, and then I'm adding a few little just plain black spots in between the bigger spaces. And then I'm going to use Batman from Peachy Olive Glitters to glitter these spots. I did these spots in sections as well, and then took my chip brush and brushed away any excess glitter. And then I let all of this dry for just a couple hours, and then I sprayed it 2 times with Rustoleum 2 times clear gloss spray paint to seal those glitters in. And then I went in with a second coat of epoxy. I'm using about 25 milliliters of CCDIY medium viscosity artist resin. I let that cure about 6 hours, and then I went in with a second coat of epoxy, so my cup was totally smooth for my decal. I designed the decal that I'm using today. It is available in my SVG shop, which is linked in the description. It says, "As far as I'm concerned, leopard print is a neutral," and I firmly believe that that is the truth. So I have an offset first I'm going to apply to the cup, and then I'm going to apply the top layer of that holographic pink vinyl of the actual decal individually, word by word, and I'll show you how I do that here, of course. I'm using the same piece of transfer tape that I used for my offset for this regular decal. I'm applying it to the decal, and then I'm going to cut out each individual word and apply them one by one. I find that this is a lot easier for me to get everything lined up straight, but if you are super good at your offsets and really confident in lining everything up, you can just apply that entire decal at one time. I would just like to say that I am obsessed with this holographic pink vinyl. It is so pretty and so reflective. I love it. The next thing we're going to do is take care of the bottom of the cup that is still stainless steel. I'm taking some electrical tape and just taping off the bottom half wherever that stainless steel is, folding back a little corner of the tape so it's easy to peel off when we're done. I'm going to wrap the remaining part of the cup in saran wrap just to make sure we don't get any paint overspray there, and then I'm going to tape it off just to be safe. I'm using Sweet Pea from Rustoleum to spray paint the bottom of the cup, and then we're going to glitter it using the epoxy method. I'm taking the tiniest bit of epoxy that I can and covering up the bottom, and then I'm using Serendipity from PDB Creative Studio. And I have exciting news! You can get $5 off your first purchase of $20 or more at PDB using code Mallory21. There's also a link for the discount in the description box below. Once the bottom of our cup is covered in our glitter, we're going to tap off any excess, and then I'm going to immediately remove the tape because we don't want that to cure on our cup, especially with our saran wrap and everything else. So once you've got your tape removed, let that cure and dry about 4 hours, and then go in with your final coats of epoxy. I ended up doing 3 final coats to get this totally smooth because our decal was kind of thick, and this is the final result. This was so much fun. I think this cup turned out super cute, and I really love the mix of the stripes with the leopard print, and that pink holographic vinyl just really sends me. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I am so thankful that you all are here. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for new videos every Tuesday and Saturday. Have a great weekend, y'all, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!